As our law enforcement officers have been assaulted, they've been pelted with rocks and bricks. Their cars have been set on fire. Molotov cocktails have been used. We have seen people throw bottles and hammers at them. We've also seen that they have been attacked and verbally spit on or punched or assaulted, and it's just not acceptable. The Department of Homeland Security and the officers and the agencies and the departments and the military people that are working on this operation will continue to sustain and increase our operations in this city. We are not going away. We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor have placed on this country and what they have tried to insert into this city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically to the rioters and to the politicians in Los Angeles.
What is he doing?
I also want to talk about specifically.
Yeah, we got a damn good show for y'all. Got a damn good show. But before we get today's video, don't forget we got a new giveaway. Ram Turbo Diesel with the Cummins transmission and $10,000 in cold hard cash. Get in the win? Just go to my website, officialharstwins.com. Anything you buy on my site, like my coffee, Mifflin Blue, or my merchandise, get you automatically in the win. That was a press conference. She wasn't taking any questions.
Yeah, she's just giving out information.
Yeah, an update.
Right.
What was he doing?
He was interjecting. He wanted some questions answered. Grandstanding is what he's doing.
Yeah, virtue signaling for his constituents.
Yeah.
How many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have been targeted, and how their families have been put in jeopardy, and that we're not going to allow that anymore as well, that those individuals who are purposely endangering our ICE agents.
You see right in the front right there was a bunch of press. They're going to ask questions when they're done.
Right.
But because he's a senator, he's like, you know what, and he's Mexican, I'm just going to cut to the chase. I want my questions answered right now.
Aren't they having protests all over the country? No kings, no dictators.
Yeah.
Why is he behaving like a king, a dictator? Why we gotta go with his agenda, what he wants to do?
Yeah.
That's a process.
Yeah, it's a process to everything.
And our law enforcement officers and their families will be prosecuted for what they are doing as far as perpetuating violence on them.
Exactly.
Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go ahead, put them behind my back.
All right. Cool. One hand. Lay flat. Lay flat. Other hand.
Relax.
And Lisa,
Relax.
I want to go back to you really quickly because we've also seen Democratic lawmakers trying to walk that exact line we were just talking about with David. I hear you have more information on that video we played of Senator Padilla at this Kristi Noem event. There is reporting now that he was, in fact, arrested outside the room.
It appears that he was arrested outside the room, Christina. I am now in possession.
He wasn't arrested. He was put in handcuffs and escorted off the out the bedroom. He wasn't arrested.
He was detained and escorted.
Yeah.
Possession of video that was taken from a different angle of this same incident. The video you showed earlier shows Senator Padilla being escorted out of the room and quickly ends thereafter. The video that I have seen shows that what happens when he goes into that hallway, he is further pushed into the hallway by somebody wearing an FBI shirt. He is then pushed onto the ground and placed under arrest with his hands behind his back as he is face down on the floor by 3 additional officers. Obviously, we don't have full information about the altercation that led him to be pushed out of the room by personnel either from the Department of Homeland.
So they're playing dumb. This is MSNBC. They're playing dumb. He's interjecting. He's trying to take control of a press conference where they're releasing information. They're updating the country of what's going on with ICE and these protests.
He's disturbing the peace and it's disorderly.
Yeah, that's why he was removed. But they're playing dumb. You see what I'm saying?
MSNBC, man.
Yeah.
And security or the FBI. But this is yet another escalation between the Department of Homeland Security and those agents working at their disposal.
Another escalation?
Yeah, this is like
oh man, these people.
This is their scheme. These are their tactics. What have they been saying about Trump the whole time? He escalated by sending the National Guard to California, and that's what caused all the unrest.
Yeah. Now Trump and his administration escalated this press conference.
Yeah.
By holding a press conference, having FBI and DHS there, and preventing him from asking questions. That's why we got freedom of speech in this country.
Exactly.
We have the right to ask questions.
Yeah.
But at that time, I'm being sarcastic, of course.
Of course, I know.
But, you know, you have to wait till she finishes addressing the
Yeah,
nation.
this is what you call political theater.
Yeah.
That's all Democrats got is theatrics.
Yeah.
What else do they got? They're trying to, this is a ploy to gain sympathy
Yeah.
for their side. That's all. That's why he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I don't know why they don't change course, because poll just came out
Yeah.
with Latinos.
Yeah.
They're actually increasing. I mean, over the last several
immigrants.
weeks,
Yeah.
their support for Donald Trump has actually increased.
Well, Democrats are not that bright, so.
Lawmakers, obviously, LaMonica McIver, a congresswoman from New Jersey, has now been indicted on 3 federal charges for which she could.
So how they tying that black lady in at that ICE detention facility?
Yeah.
They're tying this all together. They're trying to make it look like the Trump administration is escalating all of this.
Yeah.
When it's illegals in the state of California burning the city down, trying to burn the state down. This senator is out of control.
Right.
They're the ones that's escalating everything.
Yeah, but they're trying to make Trump see, look, we live in a dictatorship.
Yeah.
That's what they're
Face
trying
up
to
to
do.
18 years in prison in an altercation that started not dissimilarly from this. You know, one of the things I was looking for is
all the
whether
game.
or not Senator Padilla himself put his hands back on those who were involved in that altercation with him, as LaMonica McIver is alleged to have done. And you can see from the video you're showing right now somewhat that Senator Padilla is pushing back or has his hands on the officer. From the video that I have seen, it's much clearer. At some point, he then stops resisting, puts his hands up, and nonetheless, they push him down the hallway, put him face down, his hands behind his back. He's arrested. I don't know yet what has going to come of this and where Senator Padilla has been taken, but this is...
You see? He's been kidnapped. I don't know where he's been taken.
a
Nobody's
big
heard anything from him.
escalation of what has been happening in California. Senator Padilla, as David was mentioning earlier, is a son of California. He grew up in Pacoima and Los Angeles' San Fernando
What's that
Valley,
got
where
to do
I'm
with
also
anything?
from. Pacoima is a heavily Latino community. Senator Padilla,
that?
born to immigrants.
His district has a huge Hispanic population. All he's doing is grandstanding. That's all he's doing.
Political theater.
He himself is the pride of much of the Latino community in the Los Angeles area. To see
grandstanding.
him manhandled in this way, like a common everyday protester, is going to be particularly jarring for many who are...
See,
That's
it's going to be drawing for a common everyday protest.
Yeah.
That's not a protest.
That's not a protest. That's not a peaceful protest. He's disrupting a press conference.
Yeah, an
That's
official
not
proceeding.
a peaceful protest.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? If that's me, I'm going to jail. They're not going to detain me and let me go on my own recognizances.
Yeah.
They're going to take me to jail. And I'm going to get booked.
Yeah.
If I do that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
are watching from...
Call it what it is, a disgrace.
These Democrats are putting up TikToks. You could tell. I don't know who she is. I'm sure she's in Congress or something.
Yeah.
Some state rep or whatever. It looks like she's reading from a teleprompter.
Right.
Watch
They
this.
just come up, so disingenuous.
Yeah. Look how she's reading.
Graceful abuse of power. Senator Padilla was handcuffed
Yep.
and dragged out of for daring to
the
ask a
teleprompter.
question.
Yeah.
This wasn't a threat, it's dissent. And they crushed it with force. They're not keeping us safe, they're trying to silence us.
So scripted.
All of this
She's got that teleprompter app on her phone.
Yeah, this is all staged.
Yeah. You can
We
see her
won't
eyes doing
back
like this.
down.
Yeah.
When Senator Padilla gets pushed, shoved, thrown to the handcuffed.
Look how she's acting like she's distraught. Oh my God, I can't believe this just happened.
Yeah.
Because he is asking questions, because he is engaging in the very oversight that senators are supposed to engage in, then what we're really talking about here is a Trump administration that just wants to shut down the ordinary functions of government. Look, I do a lot of oversight myself. I ask a lot of questions because that's how it works in a democracy. We use our words to hold people accountable. We don't use our fists. We don't shove. We don't try.
They act like a bunch of U.S. citizens who happen to be Latino are getting deported from the country.
Yeah.
These are people that's in the country illegally.
Yeah, that's normal government functions. Removing people from our country that's here illegally. and y'all are upset and up in arms about it.
Yeah, I think there's been hundreds of illegals arrested in California. Man, if I went to causing damage, you know, if we went to Mexico and was living down there and they tried to deport us, and we was down there waving the flag, burning the Mexican flag, and burning people's personal property in Mexico, what do you think Mexico would do to us?
Yeah, we did.
They would treat us like the cartel. They would do to us as if they were the cartel. They'd have us hanging from a bridge or something.
We'd be graveyard dead.
Try to knock people down. We use our words. That's what oversight is all about. And that's what I want to go to the floor of the Senate to talk about. I think it is time for every senator, every member of Congress, Democrat or Republican, to stand up and say what Donald Trump has done is wrong.
What is he doing?
Enforcing the Constitution? Enforcing our immigration laws?
Name one. He hasn't did anything wrong.
This, to me,
this idiot
is such an abuse of authority. It is a violent act, and there can be no justification of seeing a senator forced to their knees, laid flat on the ground, their hands twisted behind their back, and being put into restraints. When you see a democratic nation having their executive begin to arrest mayors, begin to arrest judges, begin to arrest a United States senator.
Y'all arrested.
Y'all are gaslighting the hell out of everybody.
Y'all arrested Trump how many times?
Yeah, y'all raided his house, impeached him, hundreds of millions of dollars in lawsuits. If I was to go in here and y'all arrested all these people on January 6th for disorderly conduct, and rightfully so. Some of you, there were some bad apples. But you call them insurrectionists.
Yeah.
He's interrupting a press conference. She's not taking questions. Y'all say that's the right thing when a senator does it, but it's wrong when a common everyday citizen does it? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Who is simply asking for answers to their questions, to remove them from a room forcibly.
Time and place for everything.
Yeah, you should have waited to after the press conference. When the press started answering questions. Asking questions.
But Kevin, he's a senator. You don't think he can jump on the call with Kristi Noem or Trump's administration?
Right.
He did it there. It's called grandstanding. It's called political theater.
But the crazy thing about it, man, they objecting to removing people from our country that's here illegally. That is crazy.
And that's why they're doing all this. It's a ploy to gain sympathy for their view of what they want for this country.
I think it's going to backfire.
It's been backfiring, but it's not stopping them. Let's see what this idiot has to say. You talk
to throw them to the ground, to put them in restraints.
How many times are you going to say that?
This is something that we should not tolerate. And by we, this is not Democrats and Republicans. This is we in this body. We have a constitutional obligation to provide oversight to the executive, a constitutional obligation to ask questions.
Oh my. You can ask questions, but it's a time and place for everything. Like during Trump's State of the Union speech, that one congressman that was kicked out.
Yeah, it's grandstanding, yeah.
Yeah, what was his name? Al Green?
Yeah.
This senator, during the DH press conference, did the exact same thing. He had to be removed.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be removed, so they had to push him out.
Yeah.
He was resistant, so they put him in handcuffs, detained him, and let him go on his own recognizance. But if that was me or anybody else, a normal citizen, not a senator, not a congress lady, or anybody, elected official, that person's going to jail. It's going to get booked, and they were going to have to defend what they did in court, and they will lose because he doesn't have a leg to stand on. What he did was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, what's new? Democrats. These brain dead people. I think the direction they're going, they're going to continue to lose this country. Y'all are tone deaf.
Yeah.